Welcome to Vintage Burn. This is Kev.
Marco.
And Doug.
And tonight we're doing a movie review, 1995's Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight.
Demon Knight with a K, so Demon Knight, which it took me a few times watching the movie back in the day to realize, like, oh, okay, I see what they did there. So clocking in on the IMDb scale at 6.7, which for I don't want to call it slapstick, but, you know, comedic horror, especially for the 90s, I think that's pretty damn good. Running 132 minutes, budget was 13 million, box office made about 21, so it almost doubled its money, not quite, but it was still, and it's another one, just like Brain Dead, kind of has become a cult classic over the years, you know, especially, you know, on the ass end of like the Tales from the Crypt kind of, you know, TV show. So starring Billy Zane, who, besides Kurt Russell, is probably my other man crush, I must say.
Ah, interesting.
He was also in Tombstone. There's actually two actors in Tombstone in this. Marco, do you know who the other one is?
No.
It's, the hell's his name? Thomas Hayden Church. He was, you know, the dude from like Wings. Remember the sitcom Wings?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he played one of the cowboys. Yeah, Roach. So you got William Sadler, who has been in fucking everything.
The man, dude. He's the man.
He is, and just up until recent, like I love how he even now, like VFW Kev, he was in that one, right? I still haven't seen it, but I know you talked fondly of it.
Yes, he was.
And it's fun if you look at his, you know, career. It goes from B horror to, you know, prestigious roles and everything in between. Then you have John Casser as the Crypt Keeper. Jada Pinkett Smith. I don't know, just a wife beater. I don't know. I had a big crush on her as a kid. So as Geraldine, and she's been in everything too. She's become quite the actor. Thomas Hayden Church, like we said, Roach. Dick Miller, who has been in everything too, from horror to Gremlins. Yep, 1 and 2. The Burbs. He's been in everything. And then Brenda Bake, Cornelia.
Yeah, I think it's Baki.
Baki.
Yeah, I think it's Baki. Whatever. Baki. Yeah.
Boki, Toki, Take. It's like Take with. I don't know.
She's been in. You guys might remember her from Demon Knight.
That's
the truth.
She was in L.A. Confidential, and that was not a horror one, but that was a great one with who was it? Russell Crowe and Danny DeVito. That's a good one. Have you ever seen that one, Marco?
Yeah, a long time ago. That's actually a movie I've been meaning to revisit. It's supposed to be really freaking good.
Yeah,
I don't really remember because it came out in the 90s somewhere, but it's been a long time.
No, Kim Basinger, right? Kim Basinger as the female lead.
Yep. Yeah, that's a great movie. All right, and then CC Pounder as Irene, who just is
Hold on,
awesome.
Doug.
Yep.
Second fake news. The movie's not 132 minutes, first of all. It's an hour and 32 minutes. And it's CCH Pounder. Give the lady some respect.
CCH, that's what I said. What did I say, CHH? Or just CH?
You said like CH or CC or something. I don't remember. But you forgot a letter, though.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, whatever. I just love CCH Pounder from like The Wire and... not The Wire. Jesus, now I'm getting fake news. The Shield. She was in The Shield.
Oh, The Shield. Yeah, she was great in The Shield.
And she was also in RoboCop 3, which is the worst of the three, but she was excellent in it because she's an excellent actress.
She is. You can tell. You know, all the actors I've seen with interviews, you know, they all say she was just like, not the life of the party, but just had... Is she still alive and talking about her in the past tense? She's still alive, I think,
I'm
right?
pretty sure, yeah. I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Okay.
I never heard of her passing. I don't know if she's a big enough star that she'd make things, but I would think you'd hear that.
Yeah, it might be kind of quick and... Yeah, you're right. A lot of them, unless you're big, you don't seem to make, you know, too much of the news nowadays, but...
CCH Pounder is alive and well.
All right.
Yeah, she's 68 years old. I was looking it up, too. Born on Christmas. Look at that.
Hot damn. All right, so directed by Ernest Dickerson, who has done a ton of stuff as well. He's been on every show that you can possibly think of as a director, from Walking Dead to some seasons in Dexter, ER, NCIS, and everything in between. Screenwriters.
The Juice.
Huh? Oh, Juice, yeah.
Juice with Tupac Shakur, Bulletproof with Adam Sandler, Surviving the Game with Ice-T. Nice. I actually watched Surviving the Game the other day. Look at that.
Yeah, no shit.
And I believe because of Ernest Dickerson, Jada Pinkett Smith was the first female African American heroine in this horror classic. So fuck you, Jordan Peele.
I had a feeling that was coming.
Always got to bring him down.
Gonna bring down the man.
You can suck a dick. Anyway, we like some Ernest.
Yeah,
Ernest is good, man. And even in the documentary, he seems like a chill dude.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, super chill.
Yep.
Hey Doug, out of curiosity, did you end up seeing the documentary or no?
I sure did.
Okay, cool, awesome.
Yeah, so at least we're all on the same page as far as that goes. This is like a first. We're all educated and shit. This one.
Yeah, it's good. How do you want to? Are you
I don't
done
know.
through the cast or what? What's going on?
Yeah, that's pretty much it for the cast.
You want to start it out? We got who's rolling out the synopsis?
Oh, I got it right here. There's actually not much of a synopsis. It's Hold on.
Sorry, guys. Doug got his COVID shot today, and he's a little sluggish.
A man
on the run is hunted by a demon known as the Collector.
Yeah, take it away, Marco.
Oh, that's it?
That's it. That's all you need to know.
Wow.
If you know-
I didn't even look at the synopsis. That's crazy. That's
Oh,
the
it's-
shortest one I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, I mean it's right to the point, but you know, and once again, if you've seen the movie, it's like that's all you need to know. If you haven't seen the movie, it's like, oh, cool, what am I getting myself into? So.
Yeah. So anyway, the movie starts out with this scene of this beautiful woman in black lace undies and bras and stuff, and she's talking to some guy on the phone, and she's like, "Yeah, I took care of him. We're gonna get all his money." And you see blood on the bed and stuff, and he's like, "Oh, you know, where is he? Oh, he's downstairs." And then it goes downstairs, and you see the guy like boiling in or like in lime or something, and he ends up getting up, and he ends up going up and whatever, like scaring the shit out of her. He's all like, he touches the wall, this is my favorite part. He touches the wall, and then his hand sticks to the wall, and his fingers rip off. Did you guys notice that?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great effects.
It was cool, man. But anyway, yeah, so he goes upstairs, she screams, and then all of a sudden the crypt keeper comes in with the cut. And the only reason I'm going to talk about this part is it's kind of irrelevant to the movie, but it's because John Larroquette from Night Court is in this part. He's playing the guy that's coming back from the dead to kill the person who just killed him.
That's who it is. I knew the person, the actor, but I couldn't quite peg it. Night Court. Holy shit.
Yeah, John Larroquette, man. And he's been in other stuff, but I was a big Night Court fan when I was a little kid, so that's where that comes from. And anyway, so the crypt keeper does his little spiel. He's yelling at the actresses and saying something about bit parts. I think that's that part. And he's like, "You'll be chopped in bits," and threatening to kill John Larroquette pretty much. And he notices we're there watching. And he says, "Hello, kiddies. Pull out your drool cups and your vomit bags." And this is Demon Night, and that's what Demon Night starts.
And I love how...
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I love how they include the old school Tales from the Crypt opening of like going through the yard, down to the basement, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great. That's true, too. I didn't even think of that. But yeah, you know what, though? This movie is going to motivate me to watch Tales from the Crypt, because I haven't seen it since I was a little kid.
Same. I was thinking this. I was thinking the same thing. Now,
yeah, man.
Before we get into the movie, I feel kind of foolish. I had no idea, because I remember watching this on American television, but I didn't realize that it was actually an HBO series, and they kind of like dulled down the episodes so they would be like, like watchable for like cable TV. So like the originals, have nudity, more gore. They were like a little more risque, whereas like the we had like the watered down version, or at least the ones that I watched. I don't know if you guys at HBO, we couldn't afford it. And if your friends didn't have a black box, you were shit out of luck.
Yeah, well, I had a black box, but I think that was like after Tales from the Crypt was on.
I remember
shouldn't say that.
renting these from Backstage Video.
Oh no shit! Were they the like straight from HBO, or were they like the cable adaptation?
I can't recall, but I remember renting even Bordello of Blood from Backstage.
Yeah, Bordello of Blood, yeah. But anyway, starts out with a car chase. Two cars going at it, and you find out his name is Breaker, which is William Sadler, right? That's his name, William Sadler?
Yep.
Okay. So you see Breaker being chased and shooting guns and stuff, and they end up colliding, or the big accident happens, going over 100 miles an hour. Breaker somehow survives. He ends up running off and tries to steal a car. This little kid, Danny, who becomes part of the story later, also, he's stealing my dad's car. He calls for his dad. He runs away, and he runs into Uncle Willie, which is played by Dick Miller of Gremlins. And Dick Miller's like, he's drinking, and he's like, "You want a drink? I don't drink. I don't like to drink alone." And he's like, "I just need a place to go." So he takes him over to what becomes basically the whole movie. And in the meantime, go ahead.
I was gonna say, remember the old days when you could just have a drink with a hobo and didn't have to worry about some crazy virus? The old days must be nice.
And then you meet Billy Zane, who is the best character ever in the movie. Actually, two cops pull up to the accident, and they're like, how did they, there's nobody here. How did they survive this? And they must have been going well over 100 miles an hour and all this shit with this shit. And then who pops through the flames? Billy Zane. And what's his character name, Doug? I forgot to write it down.
He's just the Collector. That's the only thing he has no other name besides the Collector.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if he had a name or not. That's why I didn't realize what his name was. So anyway, yeah, he's like, why were you going so fast or whatever? And he's, I'm chasing somebody for an antiquity or something like that. And I believe they get a call that they get a call about the stolen car. So they go investigate it with Billy Zane. So they take Billy Zane along for the ride. They don't ask any further questions. They just, he's like trying to hunt down this antiquity, he calls it. And let me see.
I just love when Billy Zane's just sitting in the car, and it's just like very casual. He's very Billy Zane in general is just very charming. I find, especially in this, and that's why they chose him, because he can be demonic looking. He can look evil, but he can be charming at the same time. But he's just sitting in the back with his hat on, and just like no big deal. Like this is like a normal day for the cops and shit.
Doug says charming, and I would say chill. I think maybe we have different ideas, but
Yeah, I'm not afraid of my sexuality, Kevin. That's all.
It is his man crush.
Yes, it's just different than sexuality. Yeah, I'm confident with mine. I'll say a man's charming. I'll say a man's good looking. Fuck it.
So they get to the mission. Going back to Breaker and Uncle Willie. They get to the mission and he's checking in, and that's when you see Irene / CCH Pounder, Cordelia. I'm not even going to try. And she's staring at him. You can tell she's a hooker right off the bat. Mm-hmm. She's like, we don't take strangers, but he pulls out money. She's like, good enough. And so she yells at Geraldine, which is played by Jada Pinkett, to, show him to the room, and something about sheets. I don't know, something like that. But, and then there's the Wally scene. Now you meet Wally, who's the biggest, I don't know. This guy pisses me off throughout the whole movie. He's just such a sad sack.
He is.
He gets, he tells Cordelia, who he obviously has a crush on. You could tell right off the bat that he got fired from the post office. So she tells Irene, maybe I should give him a freebie. And she's like, yeah, that's exactly what he needs. And it unfortunately never happens for the poor guy in the whole movie.
But doesn't she say that's exactly what he needs, another person screwing him or something?
That's right. Yeah, that's exactly what she says. Yeah, that's what he needs, another person screwing him. Yeah.
But there's a very cute scene a little bit earlier talking about with the sheets. Like they were, I think Irene makes a joke about you're never gonna get the stains out of those sheets, and she's a prostitute, and she's like, she just kind of puts her head down. She's like, Damn guacamole. I just thought that very
those
funny.
stains are the same.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Guacamole.
So Breaker is eating, and Cordelia offers him dessert, and she gets up on the table, and at the same time, there's a black cat that gets up on the table, and Irene screams over, and says, "God damn it, get that pussy off the table." So Cordelia instantly gets down, and Irene says to her, "I meant the cat."
I meant the cat.
So and then that's when, how'd the cat get in? So the cat was outside, but he got in somehow. So that comes into play a little bit later too. And I'm just doing everybody play by play so you meet everybody. Then Roach enters, which is played by that guy you said from Wings. What's his name?
His name in real life is Thomas Hayden Church.
That's it. And Cordelia asks why he's late, and he tells someone tried stealing a car at the diner. So Irene actually, my only thing about Irene I hate in this movie, she's rats out.
Yeah, she's a narc.
She calls the cops. So yeah, they get the call with the cops and all that shit. And so now the collector / Billy Zane has a feeling that's where he is. So now they're on their way over. So they show up, they cuff Breaker, and Zane tells them they're looking for, this is where he says it, a piece of antiquity. And the cop is looking, and he finds Cordelia and Roach. And he's got like these like, Jesus, like battery cables, jumper cables or something or whatever, attached to his nipples. It was a jumper, like roach clips, I would say.
Yeah, like roach clips hooked up to a battery.
So the cop walks in and whatever, and he tells them all to go downstairs because they're trying to find this antiquity because it was hidden. And the best is like, the other cop says to him, he's like, "Did you find anything?" He's like, "Nah, just a lube and an oil job."
But so,
which I thought was hilarious.
Dude, and right before that, so let me just break down the scene real quick, because this is probably my favorite. It's probably one of my favorite little segments in the movie. So when Bob's creeping down the hall, because you hear something going on, you hear like slowly start hearing Cemetery Gates playing in the background, Pantera. And then, he pops the door open, and then once he yells at him, he's like, turn it off, my nipples are smoking. It just cracks me the fuck up. Yeah, and then the whole, what was the lube oil? Whole lube oil fucking scene.
Yeah. Oil and lube or lube and oil. I didn't write it down. I just remembered that part. I knew some lines I would remember, so I didn't even bother writing it down.
I don't know about you guys, but this movie reminds me of From Dusk Till Dawn a lot.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I know we all
facts about that later.
Yeah. So you don't want to get into that.
You can go ahead. You take it. You haven't talked at all. Go ahead.
I was just going to say this segues. I mean, a lot of the scenes, it does remind me of that. And then watching the documentary that we watched on this movie, it was amazing to know that was supposed to be the movie that Tales of the Crypt put out, not this movie. So it makes sense with, in what they were looking for. But I mean, it hadn't even been shot. So I mean, I'm guessing that from the scripts there were some similarities that they noticed. And so when they read Demon Knight, they were like, "Oh, okay. Well, I mean, this isn't From Dusk Till Dawn, but it's pretty damn close." Because I always thought that Tales of the Crypt wrote these movies, as part of the Tales of the Crypt series. I didn't know that they were basically just getting scripts from all over the place that had been written for years, and they were just picking and choosing what they were going to slap their label on. And have to direct and produce and everything. But for the most part, I mean, the script of the movie was pretty much written already.
So for this one here, and I think probably Bordello of Blood, and I'll get back to that in a second, but a lot of them, like the actual Tales from the Crypt like TV show, were based on the old EC comics, which came out in the 50s. And then they basically... so it was kind of like a Tip of Gore type situation back in the 50s. All the parents, clergymen, teachers, they thought these comics were causing illiteracy and juvenile delinquency. So there was some kind of a congressional subcommittee that basically shook the industry, and EC Comics basically shut down not just their horror, but all their sci-fi, basically fucking like just put a stop to everything, and it kind of stayed dormant until like the 70s when British companies, British filmmakers started making like Tales from the Crypt based on, the movies. And then, then we got, what we know best of is from our childhood where, they were the seasons, like the TV shows. So, yeah, these here, I think later on they wanted to revitalize it. And you're right, there's kind of scripts floating out there. And they did say that there was supposed to be a package of 3, Bordello of Blood, and another script, which was supposed to be dead easy, but it was never made. And at the end of Tales from the Crypt, after the credits, I don't know if you guys watched that far, but Crypt Keep comes on. He's like, and look for our new movie, Dead Easy, coming out in whatever, like this June or something.
Mm-hmm.
But the third, and yeah, so because of what's his name? Not fucking John Cusack, Quentin Tarantino. He wanted too much money, so they basically dropped From Dusk Till Dawn, ended up picking up Demon Knight, and then the third one ended up being a movie called Ritual with Tim Curry that was like maybe 2001, I think. 2001 or 2002, but I've never seen it. I don't know if you guys have.
Nope.
Oh, so that was also supposed to be part of the series?
So so if you had to look at they call it the trilogy, and it's Bordello of Blood, Demon Knight, and then that movie, The Ritual. And that was the 3 that they had. But, they all kind of fell in different orders just because of Hollywood being Hollywood, essentially.
Did you guys know?
I didn't even realize. Go ahead.
Did you know that they tried to link all 3 of these movies?
I know that the Key makes an appearance in the second one, even though it's not a direct sequel, right?
Yeah. The Key's,
and
that's
William,
it.
That's it, right?
And William Sadler's the mummy in Bordello of Blood.
Oh, that's right.
If that has anything to do with it, but he's definitely the mummy, so he makes an appearance from it, so he's linked to both movies.
That's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
If I was part of the first one, I'd be like, yeah, I don't give a fuck what I am. I just want to be in the second one,
Mm-hmm.
All right,
so
shut up.
No, it's all good, man. No, we're gonna be here all day, bro. No, but the cops ask where the thing is, the antiquity, and Uncle Willie opens his fucking mouth because he's a drunken bastard, and he fought gremlins in his past life, and he says, "Oh, I didn't realize it, but I saw him stash it." So he grabs it and all that shit. And the funny part is Billy Zane here. I just love the way he acts in this movie. He's just like, hey, before you hand it over, man, can you dump it out? So now you're starting to figure out it holds a liquid. You don't know what it is yet, and then so the cops are gonna take they cuffed Breaker. They're gonna take him to the station, and the collector's like, thank you guys, and he's like, no, you're coming with us too. Both those cars were reported stolen. So here's the first, really kind of gory scene in the Demon Knight portion of the movie, not counting the beginning. And so he turns around, and I forget, what does he say, Doug? Do you remember the line he says right before he does it?
I'm sorry. What?
He's about to punch the guy through the head.
I don't know if he says anything. Does he?
No, he does. Yeah, he does. He says something. He's like, now I have to do this, or something. I can't remember. But anyway, he ends up punching him through the fucking head. Right through it. And his hand gets stuck. He's sitting there struggling with it. Eventually it rips off. So he decapitates the guy. And then he flings it at the other cop. Yeah, it was good. And I guess from the documentary they used SpaghettiOs and some other stuff.
Yeah, like beans and anything they could find.
Sausages, I think was mentioned. Something like that. I can't remember.
This kind of reminds me of that scene, my favorite scene from Dead Alive, where the dude just comes up and punches a chick right through the face, and then just starts fighting everybody with her head still on his hand, like the whole body. Kind of, I don't know. I don't think it was a direct nod, but it was. I'm like, yeah, it just makes the scene.
So yeah, Breaker gets the handcuff keys from the other cop and presses the amulet on Zane's face. It burns him up, and then he just jumps through the window outside. And this is when you see Billy Zane say, what, fuck that cowboy shit, this ho-dunk, po-dunk, whatever, and he starts doing the dance. I think, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what made Doug fall in love with him, is that part.
Yeah, absolutely.
Po-dunk.
It was right then and there. And he actually, because of this movie, they say that that's how he got the role for the bad guy in Titanic. Kind of like the villain in Titanic, because he plays just such a good, stern, charming psycho. Charming.
No, he's definitely charming, man. I mean, even in the later, the fantasy scenes or whatever, the scenes that he creates for everybody, he's such a charming fella.
Mm-hmm.
I almost fell for him too. Not quite as much as you. But we almost did. But anyway, he ends up cutting his own hand open, and this is where all the fucking chaos just really starts. And he has his green blood, and he's bleeding like a motherfucker, and he's like, throwing the blood all over the place, throwing the blood, and it's on the ground. And then all of a sudden, these demons start rising up. And, they look pretty cool too, man. Once they're up and out, they got the freaking top knots and their masks and all the like nipple rings and weird stuff on them. And I thought they looked cool. And in the original, this wasn't the original script. Due to budgetary cuts, they were going to actually just make them like humans.
That would
with like
sucked.
sunglasses.
Yeah, that would be terrible.
But the guy that was producing it or whatever, I can't remember. It was in the documentary, but the guy said, "Nah, we're going to find a way around it." And he found it in the budget to just make these suits and just do a little bit of makeup. And luckily they did that, because that would have sucked, Kevin. With the CIA looking people or whatever they described.
Yeah, just humans with glowing eyes or whatever. It would have just been lackluster. As a kid, I always thought that the demons kind of looked like the Crypt Keeper, but I mean, I guess now that you can see them closer, maybe not at all. But I always, as a kid, was like, oh, they kind of remind me of the Crypt Keeper, which makes sense why they would have demons that look like that. And the other thing too, I don't know if I missed it, but it's unbelievable to think that they filmed this inside of a hangar. The entire movie was done with mostly practical effects. The background, it was easy for them to figure out how to do something, but I think they said they just had a black background, but it was all shot inside of a hangar. That's so cool. They don't do that shit anymore.
No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Ernest was saying that like he's like they didn't want to do it. He didn't want to film for it took 40 days. He didn't want to film for 40 days at night. He's like, it's just not healthy for the cast and the crew, like throwing off the cycles and everything. So that's why they decided to go with the hangar to just to make it more feasible, more livable, more overall just more enjoyable to make.
It does work, I think. Yeah, man, there it is. Yeah, Kevin pointed out that when you start talking, but it does take a second. It actually does light your voice up. Just so you know, on your phone.
Yeah, so these two dickheads don't keep saying, no, go ahead. No, you go ahead. No, you go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Well, if you talked more, you'd have the same issue. Oh.
That's why I don't.
Burn.
Too busy listening to you two fight over each other.
Hey, it's tough. We're trying to. It's the new normal, okay?
Yeah. Hey, we can't do this live, so we can't see each other. I mean, it is what it is. Even though we did it live last month or whatever, but hey, it is what it is. What do you call it? Where are we? Oh yeah, and a few get in, and a few of the demons get in, and Breaker shoots out the eyes. So you figure out how they die right away. You got to shoot their eyes out. Then a bunch try to come in the front door. Breaker shoots, and then at them, they back off, and he opens the amulet thing, and he pours a little bit in the, what do you call that? The doorway there. The threshold. The threshold. And so you see like this red line go around it, and it seals the door. It protects from demons from coming in. And and that's what he does there. And then what's her name? Jevelyn? How do you say her name?
I was a little confused myself, but
Jevelyn?
Geraldine.
Yeah, Geraldine. It's an R, not a V. That's me and my bad writing. And Willie attempt to go out the back. They get attacked. Breaker comes and saves the day, hears him screaming. He throws a butterfly knife, gets one through the eye, pushes the guy out, and he seals that entranceway. And then one attacks Cordelia and Wally. So everybody's basically getting attacked. He saves them too. Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry. Wally saves it. He's shooting the thing, but he's shooting in the head. And then Breaker comes in. He's like, shoot it in the eyes. And then Wally, I don't know where he got trained, man, but that dude can shoot. Got those eyes right away. 2 shots, bang, bang. That fucking thing dies. So now they're all in there, and Breaker's starting to seal off the rest of the place. So then you get like this flashback of like Jesus stuff. Somebody want to explain that part?
So it's kind of like this very orange scene, orange sky, very desert looking, and it's just like three bodies on crucifixes, right? And then it's kind of like this weird guy with curly hair who we end up finding. I have it written down somewhere. He's some thief, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's very quick, and we don't know. You're starting to realize that, all right, maybe there's something that's been going on for a long time, but we don't know what yet. It's like a little teaser for later on. But now, was this the scene, or was it there's another scene, another flashback he has about like the World War I in France when they brought all the dirt in?
That was another one.
Yeah,
that's another scene.
Yeah, that's like the last of them. The last of his, I believe.
Mel Gibson definitely watched this before he made Passion of the Christ.
You know what's funny is I thought that to myself too.
I don't know why I thought of that. Yeah, I don't know. I was like, oh wow, it's why did I just think of Passion of the Christ? The other thing too is I don't know about you guys, but Billy Zane's character, I know in the documentary he said it was his evil version of Robin Williams' Genie, but I got a lot of Beetlejuice from this.
I
can see that.
Absolutely.
I can see that. Definitely. I agree, man. I could see it. You know, obviously not as wacky as Beetlejuice, but definitely in some of his movements and even the way he talked and stuff, you can hear it. I agree.
Describe himself as a genie from hell. You know, Robin Williams, Genie from Hell, which, you know, later on when, you know, he starts kind of fucking with people's minds, and it definitely makes sense.
Now, this part I wasn't even going to talk about just because I don't think it's that relevant to the movie. I mean, I guess it kind of is. I just like what the guy says, and it's Cordelia, Wally, and Roach are all kind of fighting because when they went to run out the door, Cordelia did get stuck outside. I didn't mention that, and they had to save her. And so she's fighting with Roach because Roach left her there. Roach ran back in and closed the door on her. And so anyway, she ended up getting rescued. So they're fighting now. Wally's in the room. And, you know, Wally's my friend, she says. He helped me. And he's like, whores don't have friends. And I felt so bad for poor Cordelia there. I just
did. No, I felt the same way. Yeah. You can tell she's just a sweet girl that just, you know, and she just needs a real love in her life. She never knew real love, and yeah, you feel for her.
And she did not age very well.
No. I was thrown off because her IMDb picture, she looks great, but I don't know how to say this without sounding like rude, but it almost kind of looks like she had a stroke.
You know what? You might be right, and I'm probably an asshole for saying what I said, because, like, she could have. Like, yeah, definitely. It looked like her mouth wasn't moving properly. You might be right, man.
Yeah, something, because she said something in the documentary about, like, being able to, she feels like that, like, the Cordelia role was, like, her, like, because she was, you know, said something like no happiness and kind of, like, dark, but, like, soft, you know? It's like, so she connected with the role. And then she says that's why, you know, she thinks that her character was the weakest and why he goes to her first, which is kind of coming up, I believe.
Yeah. It's coming up. The cat got in, so they chase it to the basement. This is back to Breaker and everybody else. They find that there's a breeze coming from this little area, which ends up being a mine. We'll find that out in a little bit. So some people want to go, some people don't, and it's a big fight. Roach starting all that shit. Eventually. And anyway, back to Roach real quick. He slaps Cordelia. I forgot to mention that. He slapped her in the face. Oh, and then that's when the collector comes. After she gets slapped, she's alone in the room. She's crying. And he's like, oh, Cordelia, you're pretty. Oh, I shouldn't say pretty. You're beautiful inside and out. You're just a sad girl looking for love. Stuff like that. It's a lot longer, but I'm just giving you the gist of it. I can give you that love. All you have to do is let me in. And Wally enters, they kiss. So right there, when I first saw it, I thought she was going to like bite his face off or something. But it doesn't show her quite turn yet. And so they're in the basement. They want to escape. This is the part I was talking about, that they were fighting about it. And then they hear screaming from the upstairs. So they run up and they break down the door, and Cordelia's fucking possessed. Her mouth is fucking open. And great practical effects. Anybody have any description of that face, dude? Like, can describe it well? It's crazy. No?
I just remember like teeth. Whereas it's kind of like dark too. it kind of
Yeah.
like lets your imagination take over a little bit more too. But I just remember like teeth, and it was almost like it's funny, but it reminded me of kind of like Beetlejuice, like Kevin said. But like, remember when like he turns into a snake and just have like the teeth and like the mouth's wide open?
Right.
But yeah, the practical effects are great.
And it looks like her neck like elongated a little bit if you watch. It looks like it just kind of stretches out a little bit, and then her mouth kind of opens up, and that's when you see the teeth. And anyway, Cordelia's possessed. She's on top of Wally. Breaker shoots, and she lifts Wally up. He shoots Wally in the back. She throws Wally at them. She's choking Breaker. He drops the amulet, and Irene picks it up to use it and ends up losing her arm. She ends up getting her arm slammed against the door. It breaks, and then it gets ripped off. They shoot Cordelia in the eye, and this part was cool. So they actually shoot her. Her head kind of explodes, and her eyes end up like on the ground, and they're still moving, and then they shoot the eyes. And she dies. But what I thought was cool about going back to Irene, I meant to mention this earlier. So CCH Pounder, who plays Irene, actually, let me mark where I was because I'm fucking, there it is, okay, marked. She was actually a lot skinnier and stuff than she looks in the movie. So what they did is they made her look older by adding like a fat suit and padding. So and it also helped hide the arm effect. So she could hide her arm in the suit. So they used the fake arm, obviously.
That makes
sense.
sense.
I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And it's like, how do you feel being her? Like, we're gonna make you look fat and old for this flick. You know. But I thought that was a funny little fact.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Because she was younger. Well, not younger, but she was pretty young. She was only in her, like, maybe late 30s at the time. You know, so yeah, they kind of, they did well kind of making her look like just like a sassy older, you know, like wise kind of mother of the house.
Yeah, she's 68 years old now, and this movie was filmed, 26 years ago? So do the math. 42.
Yeah, that's why I was looking at her to see if she was still alive, and I'm like, wow, she really didn't age much from 95. But now that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And that's what it is, yeah. I mean, she's just an I love her, man. I've always loved her, like I said, in everything I've ever seen her. So I felt bad for her losing her arm. Because she's awesome, and she's mean, and she ends up making a huge sacrifice in a little while. So they go back to the basement. Roach is sledgehammering the entranceway. And then this is when the second flashback happens, where it shows the crucifixion, like the nail getting nailed in the hand, and then the skull's all over the ground. And then there's a demon hand, right, that's under the blood of Christ, and it burns his hand. So the dude, the thief, I'm guessing, he has the amulet, and he's putting the blood of Jesus in the amulet. And then it shows the demon grab the amulet and like just start shaking like he's dying. And so that's like the second vision that Breaker has. I keep wanting to call him Stryker. I don't know why the fuck. I wrote down Stryker like 10 times. I had to cross it out.
Maybe Breaker.
So
and
they go into the mines. Huh?
No, nothing. I was just comparing the names.
Yeah, they go with just Breaker, but I kept writing down Stryker. Like, I think it's because I watched X-Men the other day, and there's a character, Stryker, the one who makes Weapon X and all that. Wolverine gives him the adamantium, and I think that might be why. So they go into the mines. Breaker seals the entrance of the mine. They find Danny, little Danny, the guy who screamed to his dad his car was getting stolen earlier. Then the demons show up. Eventually. It's a few minutes, but they show up. They end up running back. They make it back to the entranceway, into the mission. And Breaker says it's all good. It's sealed. Then fucking Roach takes a shotgun. Go ahead. What does he do, Doug?
Fucking douchebag. Just no one doesn't want to listen to anybody. Fucking shoots one of the zombies, one of the demons through the the shield.
The seal.
The seal, and fucking it breaks the seal. Now it's all. Mm-hmm. They were good. They were good for a little while. But no, Roach had to fucking hop in and be a dick.
Yeah, and then from there, they all run up, and they all make it. They all make it to the top of the stairs, which was sealed accidentally earlier. And I forgot to write it down, but I forget how it happened. But I think they dropped, a little blood fell out of the amulet, and it actually accidentally sealed it. So they actually got lucky right there. So the balcony got sealed. And then they discover they're low on ammo. This is where they're talking about, I only got 4 bullets left. And, how about shotgun shells? And she's like, not up here. They're downstairs. And this is when the World War I flashback happens, Doug.
Okay, yeah, I got that here. No, I jumped the gun. I couldn't remember what scene that they did.
Yeah, if you want to explain it, go ahead, bro. I like
So-
when other people explain things. Takes
I
me
guess
back.
when they were filming this scene, because it's like trenches, it's like World War One. It's very, they're foxholes, and
Mhm.
so I guess they brought in like trucks and trucks and trucks and trucks of what they thought was dirt, but I guess it was like mixed with manure, and it was the actors say that it was like just unbearably hot in general, and then to add hot manure into a airplane hangar, they said nobody wanted to be in there.
Sounds like a terrible mix. Hey,
Yeah.
what did you guys think of what did you guys think of that scene? I mean, as war buffs, did you guys think they did that pretty well?
I think so, especially with what they had to work with.
Yeah, I mean, it was for a low budget movie. I thought it looked really good. I thought they did really well with it. Sure. I mean, could have it looked better, obviously, but for what it was, yeah, I thought it was fine. What about you, Kevin? Sounds like you might have had some beef with it.
No, I just know how much you guys. I mean, I like war movies, but I know that you guys really like watching war movies and stuff. So it was interesting how they incorporated that in. And from what I could tell, I thought it was good. I know it was just a playback on the history of the key, but I mean, I still thought it was pretty sick for what they were doing, knowing that they filmed that inside too.
Yeah, once you get the backstory, because I appreciate this more watching the documentary, and I appreciate you guys recommending it because it kind of just gives you a little more insight than especially coming from firsthand people that were there.
Mm-hmm.
Marco, when things open up eventually, it might even already be open, but we need to go to the Collins Military Museum in Hudson, dude. So this dude,
I know, yeah.
he's a gazillionaire. He's got like he had some barcode money. He invented some barcode. Now he just has a shitload of money, and he has. I'm telling you, that ruins other museums for you. Like the shit he has, is unbelievable. He has like one of two Panzers. It was one special type of Panzer tank that he pulled out of a lake in Poland, brought it here, refinished it. And it's 4 miles from my house. Like this place he's got B-52 bombers, but maybe we'll do a vintage burn day and we'll do a little fucking history day. Would you be down, Kev?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I know. I remember we walked by it. Remember, and it had the tank outside or whatever it was. Not the tank. It was like a gun, something like that.
No, that was just the Battle of Hudson, the independence of Hudson.
The Battle of Hudson.
This one's you can't really see it from the street. It just has a huge sign, a big like lit up sign. But I'll give you more details on that later. But yeah, that's just like the downtown.
I think you told me about the museum that day. That's what I think.
Okay, that's right.
I just thought it was where the Battle of Hudson commenced. Apparently it wasn't.
Second to Gettysburg.
So anyway, yeah, it was just as bloody.
Just as bloody. Second bloodiest.
But nobody knows about it. Nope. It was a secret war. Anyway, so they asked him to explain what the fuck is going on. And he says, I thought everybody was safe because you need 7. There was only 5. The collector brought 2 with him, so it made it 7. 7 stars, you need 7 people. And we did not explain he has 7 stars on his hand, and the amulet has 7 stars on it as well. And so everything needs to line up. So that's basically the explanation that he ends up telling them, it came from a carpenter, whatever. And they he's like, let me start from the beginning, before Earth or whatever. You mean Genesis, Irene says?
Yeah, you mean
Genesis? Anyway, so they had to figure it out. Yeah, the blood of Christ was in there. He's like, maybe some of it's still the blood of Christ, whatever.
It's funny. They don't actually say Christ or Jesus. They just say like a carpenter, I don't know why
That's true.
So I got overzealous talking about the World War II shit, but so there's that little scene where the dying soldier, he's dying, he pours his blood into it, and he hands it to him, he burns it into his hand. That's how he's got like the burn on his hand, and he tells him you're the one. So he that we know that Breaker hasn't necessarily been around since the Jesus days, but it's going from person to person, whoever they see fit that can resist evil in some way, shape, or form. But yes, then he goes into talking about the darkness, where the demons ruled the earth. They had 7 keys until God said, "Let there be light," and the keys were scattered across the universe.
Yeah, they found 6, and this is the last one left.
And that's the last one left. Yeah, so I actually have Carpenter's blood in quotations in my notes. And then Cyrac. Cyrac is the name of like the original thief. You know, so
Okay.
he's the one that kind of looks like the dude from Havoc with the crazy hair.
Yeah. I'm so sorry. I was so infatuated with the Battle of Hudson, I forgot where we were. My apologies.
Most people don't know, but it's quite the battle, quite the history.
So anyway, after the explanation of the 5 and 7 people, all that bullshit, Danny disappears. So they split up like fucking smart people in horror movies, and they go looking for poor old Danny. So at this time, Geraldine walks into a room, and the room transforms, and it's the collector fucking with her now in a little fantasy. I call it the Pinkett fantasy because I used to love Jada Pinkett, and I have a lot of fantasies about her when I was a kid. So tell her, basically what he's telling her is because she's on work release and all this stuff. You want to go see the world, you deserve the world, and he's being all smooth and shit. And then eventually she spits at his face, and she sees like a vision of Breaker getting eaten by the demons. And Zane pops out and talks. No, never mind. And then anyway, the scene ends, and you wonder, did she get possessed just like Cordelia? You don't know yet. So Willie went missing now, and Irene finds Danny and Willie together up in the attic, or in the steeple. Is it a steeple? Steeple.
Yeah.
And so the cops up there too, and they find all these guns. And who was supposed to blow up the post office? Was that supposed to be Wally, or was it supposed to be
that was Wally? Yeah.
Willie? Yeah,
well,
Wally, but
Uncle Willie's the drunk, and Wally is the
postal worker that got fired.
Which is kind of crazy that even seeing this years later, like I remember it was a thing that to quote unquote go postal. There was like countless mass shootings of like post offices back in the 90s. So
yes,
it's kind of fucked up that most people wouldn't realize that this was kind of a thing. Maybe if a 15-year-old kid's watching this might not realize that going postal in the 90s was actually a fucking thing.
Yeah. And I still think it's a term used. But I'm not 100% sure.
I think so. I haven't heard it in a while, but I think so too.
Yeah. So I read. Go ahead.
Is this the scene where Roach's kid's reading the Tales from the Crypt comic?
Mm-hmm.
I just thought that was kind of cool. Just it kind of plays out in the next scene.
Right. And so they find grenades. And then you go to Willie's fantasy, which is my favorite part of the movie. Lots and lots of boobies. So basically the room changes, Danny's behind him, and what Willie's seeing is just a bunch of naked ladies, a bunch of topless ladies. And Willie's like, Danny's like, Uncle Willie, or whatever. And he's not paying attention. All he sees is the boobs. And then you see Billy Zane pop up as the bartender and offers him a drink. And, Willie being the alcoholic, he accepts the drink. But another funny, quick little thing on this, in the documentary, it talked about it. It took 16 or 17 takes because Dick Miller couldn't get the lines right because he was distracted by the boobage.
Yep.
I don't blame him. The boobage.
Yeah,
hey, what's funny? I just thought of this now. The bartender behind the bar fantasy scene is like The Shining.
Oh,
it is. Yeah. Absolutely is. I was going to mention that, Kevin. Good job, buddy.
I was going to mention it too, but you guys took it from me. No, that's a great comparison.
Crap. But yeah, again, he's being, the Billy Zane thing, and he's just acting all eccentric. He just does a really good job in this movie. And in the documentary, everybody says that he's like the top of this movie. He's the best thing, and I agree. Actually, I think he's the best thing about the movie. And then Willie attacks Breaker. He's all possessed. And another real quick fact about Uncle Willie is he hated the prosthetics, but he toughed it out. He did not want to do it, but he did it. So his face was all demonized. And he ends up killing Willie. At the same time, Zane attempts to. This is my favorite too. Zane attempts to get Irene, and he's got a fantasy thing for her, and he brings up the plate and shows her arm, and she just literally right away tells him to fuck off, and it goes away. You notice that? It's like 2 seconds long, and she don't fuck around, man. She's like, fuck off, dude. Get out of here. So anyway, Roach apologizes to Breaker. At the same time, he pickpockets Breaker. He pickpockets the amulet. And then he's trying to give it to Zane. Zane pops up, and he's, telling him, if you give it to me, you'd be cool, all this shit. So he hands it to the collector, or Zane, and he puts it in this case. He's like, put it in the case for me. And then he goes to walk down the stairs, and he thinks he's home free, Roach anyway. And he's like, yeah, this is nothing compared to my hemorrhoids or something like that. And that's it, man. Fucking Zane looks at him. It's like, I lied, and the demons kill him.
Yeah, rip him
so
apart.
Roach trying to be a cocksucker, they rip him apart, man. And Roach gets what he deserves for trying to freaking be the, whatever. Oh, and I forgot to mention another good part that happened there, because he had Roach beforehand had to clean the seal. I forgot about that. The sponge part where Billy Zane has a sponge in his mouth and it comes out like a tongue. Remember that? That's just cool, man.
And I didn't realize until in the documentary he talks about that, and he's like, goes to the prop guy and he's like, do you have a sponge? Preferably a clean one. Do you think he actually just he was actually able to do that, or do you think that was like, it just seems so natural? Like, I don't know how you could fake that,
Yeah, the way it made it sound in the documentaries, I feel like he kind of got to do his own thing, and as long as the director liked it, it was fine. It seemed like the director, like Kevin was saying, was pretty cool, like easygoing, and all this stuff. And on another note, I guess I just want to talk about the Jada Pinkett part they talked about the documentary before I forget. And this is the last thing I have. Is I guess she came in with short blonde hair, and she was supposed to have a different hairstyle. So they wanted to color it, and she absolutely refused. And from what I gathered, they didn't say it in the documentary, but they're saying she kept to herself. If her scenes were over, she would just go to her trailer. Think she's tough to work with?
It kind of sounds like it.
Yeah, I mean, they never directly said it, but that's what I gathered from my investigative mind.
Using your deductive reasoning to solve the behind the scenes for the
anyway,
scoop.
For the scoop. What is it? Breaker, as soon as he gets the case, shoots a bow and arrow through his eye. He's behind him, obviously. He saw it. Zane drops the case. They grab the case. They run away. And Irene and the cops say, just go to the steeple. We got this. And she this has made me, I love Irene even more. She had the grenade strapped to her, and all the demons are coming up. And she pulls the pins, and she just blows up the whole downstairs with all the demons in herself. And that's the end of Irene. Poor CCH.
Poor CCH. I just have one. It's funny. You know how normally I like to pick movies apart? I'm like, that could never happen. Obviously, this is one of those ones where you don't have to. It's just you take it for what it is. But the one thing that popped in my head, the one thing that bothered me in that realm was, if you have 7 grenades strapped to you, like, you're not, a wooden floor in an old church is going to fucking hold 7 grenades. They're upstairs, and all of a sudden you see like a little flash and like some like smoke, and like the floor rises a little bit. I'm like, come on.
No, yeah.
It would have been one of smithereens, but like,
I thought the same thing, but there's mentions of Jesus, the universe, and demons.
Yeah, I know. It's definitely one of those movies.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, did you guys know that Dick Miller's dead? I didn't even realize that.
Oh yeah. I think he's been dead, hasn't
he? He died in 2019. I was just taking a look at some of the cast members, and yeah, I'm surprised. I mean, I thought he was still kicking, but
I thought so too. Can I ask you guys a question? When did that documentary come out? Did it say in the description?
I didn't actually read that. I was actually thinking that a little while ago.
Let me see if I can find it while you guys are chatting. Let me see.
Because he was very old in that, and everyone else looked like it could have been done last year, or could have been done, 7 years ago. It's kind of, I couldn't quite peg when it was done. So,
2015.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So 20th anniversary.
Yeah, that would have been it. Yeah. So yeah, it was made for the 20th anniversary. Yep.
That's cool.
Right.
I'm glad they did it.
So at this point, it's Breaker and Geraldine. They're in a room, and he's trying to hand her the key, like pass it down, because he knows he needs to pass it because it might be his end. There's something. I think he has a feeling he's going to die.
No,
remember, give it to her.
Remember that it's so once his hand lights up from the 7 keys. I don't know if it's a tattoo or if it's just supposed to be burned into his hand. Once that lights up, that means that the demon knight needs to fight the battle against the devil and whatever evil they encounter to pass on the key to the next person. It's basically like, hey, your time's up. We're lighting your ass up. It's time to find somebody else. And it has to, there have to be 7 people in the room. And the 7 people, out of the 7, 1 will be chosen as the next Demon Knight.
Ah, there you go. Good, man. I didn't catch that, I guess. Did you, Doug?
Like half. I knew there was more to it, but Kevin's like the silent Bob of the podcast. Like he's quiet for like most of the time, but when he comes in, it's just really intelligent, like to the point. Like, thank you, silent Kevin.
So anyway, as he's trying to hand her the key, like to make her the next Demon Knight, Danny ends up being possessed somehow. Probably when he was in the room with Willie earlier, with all the boobies, and he fucks Breaker up, tears up his chest and shit. So she kind of really saw what happened. I mean, his chest was all torn up. And Geraldine kicks Danny out the window, which was sealed, so Danny explodes. His sneakers get left behind, and they look like a nice pair of sneakers. If I was a kid, I would have liked those.
They did. So I think this is the scene I was talking about. So you kind of see pages.
Take it on.
You just see the Tales from the Crypt pages, kind of like they'll show like a cartoon, then all of a sudden they'll show it kind of like come to life, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, and it was Danny's face of the cartoon. That's right. In the in the comic book. Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I keep saying cartoon. Comic, like in the comic strips.
So anyway, he's dying. He passes the key to her, and she sees all the same visions Breaker saw throughout the thing. So you see the cross, you see everything, everything we talked about, you see. And then Breaker dies, and all the seals go away. She fills up with blood. She covers herself in blood. And she covers herself in his blood, right? Obviously, it's got to be. It's got to be his blood.
In his blood, yeah, because it's like kryptonite to the Collector.
So the Collector comes in. She's covered in his blood, and he like extends his hand out. He's telling her, come with me, whatever. I love you, all this bullshit, and we're trying to say it. And she grabs his hand, and he gets burned, and he kind of runs away. So she's walking around. She sees like a body bag in a bathtub and all this stuff. She looks in there, and from behind, he says like curtains up or something cheesy, and he grabs her with a shower curtain, and he throws her in the tub and washes all the blood off of her. While that's going on, though, she takes a swig of the blood that's in the amulet. And this part, like, he's, like, dragging her around. There's, like, a dance scene. There's all types of shit going on. If anybody, I didn't get too descriptive on this part, so if anybody wants to take it, take it.
There was the fire penis sexual innuendo fucking COVID shot.
Yes.
Sexual.
Yeah.
Sexual
innuendo, yeah.
Yeah, so he's like basically telling her, he's trying to tell her he loves her. Now, do you think he's just trying to, do you think he's actually in love with her? Or you think he's like just taken back by how strong of a like woman she is, or you think he's just trying to because he's charming throughout the movie, and then all of a sudden he's like now he's fumbling on his words and saying like God, I love and do you think you ever could love me? And so I'm almost like, is he like showing a little bit of weakness, or is this is part of his plan?
Yeah, see, because you might be right. It might be like he actually has an attachment to her to an extent because, and the other people, he has no problem telling them whatever they want to hear. And with her, he's got issues. So I have a feeling that this might be his moment of weakness, definitely.
All right, he kind of lets his guard
down.
Wrong. That's kind of what I got, because he's so confident and so charming. And all of a sudden he's just fumbling on his words. It's like, there's got to be a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, there's some dancing going on, and she's got the blood in her mouth the whole fucking time. And eventually, she just spits it in his face, and he like melts away, which kind of was kind of a weak ending in my opinion.
Well, doesn't he end up turning into like a demon in like the fire, like kind of before he?
Yeah. That's why I told somebody to take it, because at the end I forgot to write down a couple parts.
Yeah, I think she must escape, obviously, but like you see him kind of like turn into like a demon, then he kind of like melts in like the fire, and then like the mission or the church or whatever like blows up.
Right.
And
she survives.
It is kind of anticlimactic towards the end, but they said in the documentary there were a few different endings, and this was the better of the two, I guess.
Yeah.
So
yeah. The other one was just like his face in the flames, and it ends that way. So this was a much better ending from what they could put together. So Jada Pinkett Smith, heroine to first victim in Scream 2.
Oh, okay. I forgot she was in that.
Yeah,
that's
cool. So,
do you want to describe the last scene?
No, you go. You sound ready for it.
So they kind of show her at a bus stop. Obviously in the middle of the desert still. Big old Greyhound shows up. She gets on. And she's like, oh, hold on a second. She walks back and she puts, a drop of blood to seal the door. And then she's kind of just sitting on the bus. And all of a sudden they come to the next stop. And there's just this black gentleman with a hat on. And he kind of looks down, looks around. He looks up and he says, I'll take the next one. And then bus takes off. And then he kind of just whistles the Tales from the Crypt theme song as he's walking up the road. So they definitely set it up for a sequel.
They still can do it. They're all alive. Well, yes, they are.
Yeah, everybody who didn't die in the movie.
I wouldn't think Jada Pinkett, but they could easily replace her. I wouldn't think she'd want to do it these days.
This is above her now.
I think so too. But I just wanted to mention before we end, Charles Fleischer, the guy who played Wally, I forgot to mention, he was the voice of Roger Rabbit.
Which is super weird because he has like a deep voice, right? Especially in the documentary, kind of had like a voice like this.
Yeah, it threw me off. And I wanted to say this story. I meant to say it earlier and it slipped my mind. But Billy Zane, actually, when he was hired, they didn't know he was actually bald. So he came in with like a box of wigs and asked which one they wanted him to wear. And then the director's like, no, actually, you look perfect. Let's just use your bald head. So I guess he might have used wigs in other movies or whatnot.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to say on that, yeah.
I can't remember if he was bald in Titanic or not.
I think it was like short. It wasn't bald, not like in this. I think it was kind of like almost like a buzz cut. He kind of in the documentary, he kind of goes into how when he was filming some movies in England and stuff, the skinhead look wasn't a good look back then, say skinheads and all the fascist shit. So I think that's why he got used kind of wearing wigs or kind of growing his hair in a little bit,
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. And I just want to shout out, I just wanted to talk about this for 30 seconds. I just want to shout out the soundtrack. Because to me, in 1995 when it came out, this was actually one of the best soundtracks. I had my holy triumvirate back then was Demon Knight, The Crow, and Judgment Night were my three favorites. And it featured the likes of Megadeth, the Melvins, Rollins Band, Biohazard, Sepultura, Filter. And that was the stuff I was listening to like crazy, and the aforementioned Cemetery Gates. So yeah, me and cousin Kev, who I believe is listening, used to jam this shit all the time back in the day. And that's all I wanted to say. It was just a big soundtrack for me, and I think that's what really made me want to see this movie was the soundtrack.
Yeah, it's got a killer soundtrack. This is what got me into like Megadeth, Hidden Treasures, not
Hidden Treasures,
not Forbidden Pleasures. Well, it wasn't Forbidden Pleasures for me, but because I didn't realize till years fucking later that Hidden Treasures wasn't even really an album. It was just like a comp. It was a compilation of I think there was 99 Ways to Die was in Shocker. We had Diadems. I'm probably saying that wrong because I'm slow.
Yeah, Diadems. Yeah,
Diadems.
That was, fucking Go to Hell.
Go to Hell was in, I think, Beavis and Butthead. You know what I mean? Like the soundtrack. Go to Hell. Go to Hell was in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. Okay. So Angry Again maybe it was that. I don't know. It was just they were all from different kind of things that I didn't even realize they were from. Like one was from Super Mario Brothers. I don't remember which one. I'm just going off the top of my head here. I should have looked it up.
Yeah,
but
Hidden Treasures was just like covers and soundtracks. Whatever was on covers and soundtracks.
Yeah.
Whatever they did for covers. Yeah, that's what it was. But yeah, that's all. That's all I got on that. And
speaking of Bill and Ted, Will Sadler was the Grim Reaper in Bill and Ted.
Yeah, he played Death, dude, with the board games.
Sure did.
And that's 2 out of 3. That's 3 out of 4.
You sank my battleship.
Do you guys know where the Death character originally came from?
I don't know.
It's the old black and white Swedish film, The Seventh Seal. It kind of has, and actually Agalloch has, in one of their songs, they have, at the very beginning, it's just, this soldier rolls up on shore coming back from the Crusades, and, he's dying, and he ends up meeting this guy, and he says, "Who are you?" And he says, "I am death." And that's what it is in one of the Agalloch songs. It's like, and it's like, "Who are you? I am death." And then they play chess. And as long as he's playing, I think it's in the lodge, or Tomorrow Will Never Come, I can't remember. But so as long as you're playing chess, he kind of still can live, and the Grim Reaper wants him to kind of like learn lessons throughout the movie, throughout the rest of his life. But I didn't realize until I saw that was kind of a nod, Bill and Ted was a nod to that, which I thought was pretty cool.
I had no idea. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a good flick.
Kevin, is it?
It is. I'll shut up.
Look,
Doug, are you
Kevin
chewing
wanted
on
to
your,
keep this about...
Are you chewing on your microphone tonight?
No, I'm not moving at all.
I'm not doing nothing. I got my wireless headphones and they work beautifully. So
we yelled at Marco last time, so it's only fair. Now tonight, when you get to listen to this, you get to hear how horrible it is because of it sounds like you're rubbing your nipples with your fucking microphone.
I wonder why. All right, well, maybe I'll have to invest in fucking headless ones.
That's it. It's your turn.
Deal.
The wired ones.
But Marco,
wired
to your
ones
point,
break all the time.
Marco, to your point, I like the movie. I mean, I liked the references to, in my opinion, I liked the references to. I got a little bit of Beetlejuice slapstick out of it. I really enjoyed the From Dusk Till Dawn, I guess. I mean, I know it wasn't really made off of that movie, but I enjoy From Dusk Till Dawn a lot, so I got the references. So I kind of like the mix. Mm-hmm. That's what I got from it, were those two movies mixed together. Maybe not as comedic, but certainly good practical effects too. So I love it. I mean, it's kind of, we grew up with it in the 90s, so like that and Bordello of Blood kind of have a special place for me. Like thinking back when I could sneak a VHS home that was in the horror category, those were two of the movies that I would want to see.
Right. Yeah. What about you, Douglas?
Yeah, 3 thumbs up, man. I've always loved this one, and the soundtrack just seals the deal. But great story, fucking star-studded cast, practical effects, boobies. I mean, yeah. What else could you ask for? Especially like you said, as a younger kid, we would have been like 10 when this came out. Like, what more could you ask for? Gore and boobs.
Did your third thumb go up for Billy Zane?
It did. Thanks, COVID shot, for the third thumb.
Yeah, I'm growing a tail from my COVID shot. I got mine a couple of weeks ago. But no, I'm gonna echo their sentiments. I think I agree with everything they said. And I was kind of worried about this movie because I haven't seen it in a long time. And I thought, is it one of those movies that didn't age well? Or, what it's like when you watch a movie that you thought you loved and you're like,
yes,
fuck, this sucks. Like Popeye with Robin Williams. I thought I loved that movie. Then I tried watching it and I was like, this sucks. And sorry to all those that like that movie. That movie sucks. But yeah, man. But I was worried. And man, I watched it 3 times in the last, 4 or 5 days in between my Good, the Bad, and the Ugly and the Dollars trilogy, Clint Eastwood. I'm trying to get into Westerns. I don't know why. Those are good movies.
Did Danzig influence you into watching more Westerns?
No, I just it's Clint Eastwood, and I appreciate the guy, so I wanted to give it a shot. And they're actually pretty good movies. You could tell some of the guys are dubbed. But anyway, we'll talk about that another time. But yeah, overall, man, loved it, and I'd watch it again, dude. I almost kind of want to watch Bordello of Blood, even though I didn't like Bordello of Blood back in the day. I didn't like it, so I'm going to try it again and see if it grows on me.
Well, just watch Glenn Danzig's Veritalk and anything, or Veronica, and everything will be good after that.
Oh,
won't matter what you watch.
That, so, yeah.
3 thumbs down.
Oh, God.
3 thumbs down.
Just awful. Oh God. Yeah. So anyway, I think that's it, boys. Right?
That's it, man.
Doug,
that's all I got today.
You didn't want to hear the story about me being banned, did you?
No, not at all. I've only been fucking in the dark for like a week now.
Sorry, man. All right, so without naming restaurants, I guess, and with just getting to the point, so I went up to Maine um, for the weekend, and I ended up somehow, luckily, telling a restaurant manager to go fuck himself, and I guess I'm banned for life from the restaurant. So,
two quick things. Dude, restaurants have been open in Maine for like 3 days. How did you already get banned from one? And two, how did it come to you telling a fucking manager to fuck off?
Well, I think the assumption was because I was younger and the crowd that was there was older. First of all, I made the mistake of going to an Italian place on the fucking coast when you can get seafood. So that's my fault right out of the gate. Secondly, it seemed like it was a classy place. I thought that I was dressed fine, but apparently not. When I get to the door, the hostess was fine, no problem at all. Go in, sit down, and immediately the waitress came over like this kind of weird swanky attitude. And I think it's because we took I had my mask off, and when I sat at the table, and on their menus, I guess it says like you need to keep your mask on until you get a drink, and then you can take it off and do whatever you want. But until that drink comes, so I'm like, all these fucking rules are stupid. So I was like, well, I'm not going to wear my mask. And I think from that point, she was just a bitch about it. So she kind of gave me attitude. And then she was just like, yeah, I was like, oh, can I get a beer? Then she's like, let me see your ID. Saw that I was out of state, asked me where I was staying, which I thought was weird. And then right after that, decided that she wasn't going to serve me. And then was like, I'll be right back. And like stormed off, then came back and was just like, are you going to get food? And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm not getting a drink since I never got that question answered. So I did. And I ended up ordering food. And then after that, I kind of just said like, fuck this. I just told her to package it up and gave her 0 tip. And then I asked her while I was signing my check, I said, can I ask you why you asked me where I'm staying and why you wouldn't serve me alcohol? I'm like, if I did anything wrong, I'd like to know about it. I'm like, because you guys didn't kick me out or anything. And she's like, I don't have to answer any of these questions. I was like, oh, that's funny. You get to ask questions and I don't. So then the restaurant manager came over, this big fat fucking fuck. I'm not even gonna. And he's just like, oh, he was sitting across the room watching. And by the way, there's literally 3 tables in this whole place. The rest of it was looked like a ballroom. Like it was empty in the middle, and then there were tables scattered out through. It was just an odd setup. Look, I've been to Maine. We've been to Maine a bunch in the last couple months. Restaurants have been open for a long time. It's just that whatever. Some places are like worse than others with how they want to handle the pandemic. So this place was just atrocious. And then and so there was only 3 tables. So I'm like, well, I couldn't have been louder or anything because I'm literally sitting at this table for I don't know half hour and nobody said a word to us. So anyway, yeah. After that whole scene, he comes over and starts melting off of me. So I just stood up and I just told him to go fuck himself and walked out. And he's like, "You're banned. You're banned from here. You're banned from this place that we own. You're banned from that place we." And I said, "Yeah, whatever, dude. Fuck off."
Jesus.
Yeah, it was ugly. I mean, I've never had such a poor experience ever. And I mean, you guys know. I mean, look, we know how to do this as professionals, and we've been to places, completely cocked and have been fine. I've never been told to leave or anything. So, I mean, he banned me because I told him to go fuck himself. I just don't want to listen to him flapping his gums. So that's how it ended. Yeah, it was interesting.
That's it, Kevin.
So that's all you got to do. I mean, and a nice big fat 0 tip was great too. She was livid.
And on a quick note, yesterday I got this very quick story. I go to pick up some food. I'm doing Uber Eats. I go to this pizza shop, and this kid's in there. He just bought a slice of pizza. I heard him. And he's like, "Oh, how much for a drink?" And he only had like $1.10. It was like $1.35. So he was quarter short. So I'm like, "Hey, dude, yeah, I got a quarter." So I gave him the quarter. He goes over. He pays for it. Aside from saying thank you, the first thing this dude says to me is like, "Me and my friend sucked each other's dicks." And I said, "Excuse me?" And he's like, "Not that I'm gay or anything. We just wanted to come, dude. We just wanted to come." And then he kept repeating himself. And this poor lady's got to be like in her 50s or 60s, and she can hear everything he's saying. She's just looking at me, terrified, and I'm like giving her the eyes because we have masks on and shit. But I don't know. It was the most random thing. This dude had to tell somebody. Him and his friend sucked each other's dicks.
All right, you win.
Yeah.
You win.
That
story wins.
Marco,
yours is better because I love you, but what?
Marco, tell him the best part. That it wasn't a pizza shop. It was you. It wasn't a kid at a pizza shop. It was me. So wait, was he Jesus, this is twice now. Was he like
he was all
special?
No, he was all fucked up on drugs. You could tell even when he walked over, I could see him kind of stumbling. And then when he left, because he took it to go, the owner said like a year or two ago, he told me that he came in with like a stolen leaf blower from like Home Depot or something. He was trying to sell it for like $20.
Oh, geez.
You know, he's just always randomly coming in. But whatever. I just thought it was weird because I was there for literally a minute and this happens. This guy just tells me that. I'm like,
did he take his false teeth out?
No, he was a young dude, man, young. And I told him, I said, I don't need to hear it, dude. And I told him to kind of step off, but it was just like crazy, man. It was nuts. Well, I'd never had a dude tell me that before.
Think of it this way: you have a 25-cent deposit towards a BJ somewhere.
I guess so. And there you go.
Marco, all right, one more. Now my turn for a dumb, more weird story. Marco, do you remember at Heavy Montreal when we used to take the subway to get to wherever the venue was on like the island? And you'd have to
one stop, yeah.
You'd have to walk past like this big park, and I used to call it like the Park of Heavenly Delights, like in the Da Vinci Code, where it's just junkies. It's like a safe haven for junkies and prostitutes.
Yeah, it was literally in the entrance to the subway was literally at the park. Yeah.
Right. Fucking. So there was no avoiding it. And this one woman,
right,
no teeth. You could tell she was a fucking just a mess, a junkie, everything else. And God bless her, but. You know, she kept like talking to me. So I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm like, I got my girlfriend with me right here. I'm like, I'm gonna give you $5 as a down payment, and like I'll be back. And she's like, oh, okay. She's fucking smiling at me, and I've never ran so fast back to the fucking hotel. And then I think every time we'd go back, I would go like around the fucking park just to avoid that little. I'd come around the backside and go down. Like, so somewhere in Canada, I have a $5 down payment.
I actually remember that. I remember that situation.
Yeah, I wonder if there's like escrow and shit on that, like interest. You know, what's $5 Canadian? Well, interest.
Yeah,
over.
There's interest on it anyway, right? So you probably got like an $8 toonie.
I'll take it. That's what she wanted to give me, an $8 toonie. It was funny. I asked her, and she smiled at me, and I'm like, all right, well, I'll start with $5. She probably would have sucked me for a fucking toonie. You know what I mean? I felt bad for her, and I'm just like, hey, you know what? Take this, and I'll be back. And of course, fuck that.
She would have done it for a freaking container of cream cheese, bro. That's another story for another day. But anyway, guys,
all right. This is
we went over an hour because we started telling our silly stories.
That's all right. Well, this is Kev saying, when you're on the coast, get seafood, not Italian.
Hey, one more time, get your vomit bags, bro. Marco.
And hey, look for Vintage Burn cryptocurrency coming this summer.
An NFT. Oh man, we really should do an NFT. That would be the first podcast to do an NFT sold for $5 million.
Yeah. Man, imagine how many toonies I could buy.
Get your moon bags. All right, kids.
All right,
horrific night.
All right, kitties.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Hello?
Hello?
All right, good.
I got my first COVID shot. How do I sound?